This is Kurt Rosenwinkel Ultimate Book of Compositions. And it's exactly that. It's a book of all his compositions, all his tunes, I think, up until today. Here we have all his records. So there are lead sheets. It's even got his handwritten charts like that. But then they have cleaned it up, and there are proper charts of his compositions. And then there are some his commenting, like he's explaining the stories behind each song, actually, and old pictures from Village Vanguard and everything. So if you are a Kurt Rosenwinkel fan, this book is a must. Over 500 pages of his music. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to play some of these tunes. I've been working with this book for a couple of months now. I'm gonna try to play some of his tunes with my loop pedal, and in the process, hopefully, I will learn something about Kurt Rosenwinkel's music. The mystery of his music, I would say, because it is a little bit of a mystery. The way he's writing, he's composing, and everything about him, his playing and his effects and everything, his sound, it's all very mysterious. How does he do it? So maybe we can shed some light on that. And if you want to join me on this journey of discovery, let's get started. I want to start with Minor Blues from the album The Next Step. So it's a minor blues in E flat minor. It's got this repeating bass line. And then a little bit unusual, the turnaround. It's B sus to A major, 7, A minor. Got this mood, right? Like this key and everything. It's very interesting. Here is also where he plays a very famous 5-note grouping that people talk about in YouTube channels. I think what he's doing is this. So those are 5 notes on the 3rd and the 2nd string. And then he goes up with that pattern or that sequence. This is Dorian, but it could be Aeolian too. So of course you need to play it fast. Now let's look at the tune Cubism. So a little disclaimer here is that I don't claim to have all the answers here. And the book doesn't give you the answers either. It's just his charts. There are no explanations of the concepts of the tunes. A little bit maybe, but more on an intellectual level than music theory. I'm not a scholar, like a Kurt Rosenwinkel scholar. I'm trying to learn stuff and I'm sharing that learning experience with you. That's how my videos work. But this tune I know a little bit about because I watched a clinic. There's a YouTube video of a clinic of his where he's talking about this tune, and I'll put a link to it.
It started out as an exercise of mine that I wanted to learn how to play through lots of different key changes without always having to start your line over again, you know, so to gain fluidity through the keys, through scale changes. That's what I was wanting to do, so I made up this exercise. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to take these three notes, and those are three notes of the chromatic scale, and if you go up, so there's 4 three-tonic systems in the chromatic scale, and I just arranged them in sequence and just practiced with the metronome trying to play through it. Like the first scale is F major, and I would play 4 notes in F, and then the next one was C sharp, and then the next one was A, and so, you know, you just go through the keys like that. C sharp, A, C, A flat, E, E flat, B, E flat, or whatever it was.
So what he's doing here in Cubism is he's using the multi-tonal centers like Coltrane, like the giant steps. So if I, for example, take F major and I go up a third, major third, I get A. I go up another major third, I get D flat. F, A, D flat, and then I'm back. He does it in a different order. He plays F and then D flat, and then A. Then he does the same thing from C. So C, A flat, E. If we stop there, let's say I think about those key centers or tonal centers. I got F, 4 beats, D flat, 4 beats, A. And then it's an augmented triad kind of from C, A flat, and E. Right? So F, D flat, A, C, A flat, E. And then let's say I play a scale starting on F, 4 notes. And then I just continue with the D flat on the next closest note. And I go to A major, 4 notes, and then I play 4 notes from C major. Now 4 notes from A flat major. 4 notes from E major. Right? It continues. I'm just using the first 6 bars. So if I loop that little thing, so F major going to D flat major, A major, C major, A flat major, E major, So I'm just weaving through the tonal centers. So F, D flat, A, C, A flat, E. So in this clinic, he says that he wrote this tune because he wanted to practice that kind of being able to play effortlessly through those tonal centers. So he wrote this tune as kind of an etude kind of. And what he does a lot of times, I've seen other lessons with him, is that he'll replace a chord with any chord from that key. So the first tonal center is F. You could play any chord from the key of F and any chord in the next tonal center, D flat. So for example, I could play G minor 7, that's a chord in F major, and then I play E flat minor 7, that's a chord in D flat major, B minor, and then C for the C. So the 2 chord or the tonic, that's what he's doing in this tune. For the solo changes, they would sound like this. E flat minor, B minor, C major, B flat minor, E, so those were the chords for the soloing. Again, it's just the first 6 bars. He keeps going, right? Then for the melody, he'll play more than one chord in each bar. So you could play several chords from that key. So G minor 11 to A minor 11, the 2 and the 3 chord of the key. And then B flat to E flat minor. So the 2 chord to the, no, the 6 chord to the 2 chord. And then E sus, B minor, C minor 9, A flat minor, or A minor flat 6, I should say. This is a chord we'll come back to. F minor flat 6, F minor 7 flat 6, B flat minor, C sharp minor, and then F sharp 6 9. It says, I think he's playing this. That's another voicing I see him play a lot. So it would sound like this. That's the tune, right? If you've heard it. So let's say you saw this tune, this chart, you were playing it. Wouldn't know unless you have really good ears that it's the Coltrane changes, and it would be really difficult to try to solo over this. You'd be like, but if I know what's going on, it's actually almost easy. So if I try to play the A section 3 4, then I think of these tonal centers, and I did before, just the scales. F, D flat, A, C, A flat. So that's the thing, right? Like when you see a modern tune like this, sometimes you don't know if there is a system to the madness. And here it is. It kind of says tonal centers in the soloing section, so you would know if you look at that, maybe figure it out. But I wouldn't necessarily see that it's there's a system to there's a symmetry in the bass line, and it's the Coltrane matrix. I wouldn't know that unless somebody explained it to me. So that's why it can be difficult sometimes to play these modern tunes, because you don't know what's going on. And knowing what's going on made it a lot easier to blow over these changes. So some of these chords he's playing, I've seen him play, he seems to kind of favor, I think he uses his thumb, like this sound. So it's an A minor 7, flat 6. I guess the technical correct term would be F add 9 over A. But you can think of it as a minor flat 6. That's, I would say it's a kind of a modern sound. It sounds like something someone like Kurt Rosenwinkel played, but not like the earlier jazz players. If I drop this, bottom notes, I get this chord, right? So it's, what is it, A flat minor 6, but it's got a flat 7, so I guess minor 13. And they often move around, keeping the top note the same. I'm using the snake technique here. Talk about that in a second. I talked about this chord in the previous video, and somebody said in the comments that it's called the moo chord, or the Steely Dan chord. So it's a minor flat 6. Now I want to look at this tune, Synthetics, and I'm going to use my metronome here. I'm going to play it a lot slower. It's supposed to be 250 beats per minute, so let's do maybe, I don't know, 190. Is that reasonable? So these are power chords. it is pretty tricky. And I'm not even playing it close to the tempo it's supposed to be in. So this is from a record called The Enemies of Energy from 2000. Let's see what he says about this tune. This is my own take on a tone poem, a melody that is constructed solely based on the tonal interaction of intervals that aren't in any key or chord or following any other logic than its own internal poetics. Yeah, so when I'm working on developing my improvised playing and soloing, I'm trying to improve the potency of each note and the kind of energy that I can create through the architecture of the line or the energy of the frequencies that I'm choosing. It would do a lot of practice. I would do a lot of practice, but I would try to create a line that keeps energy and works with it in order to achieve a result. So yeah, this tune is like it's something they use to create this kind of energy. So the changes and the tune suggests, I guess, a certain way of playing, it's not like the traditional idea of here's a chord, here's a melody and chord changes, and then you try something that fits the chord changes. They are not thinking like that necessarily. It's if you listen to that album and that recording, and you listen, especially when you go and see him live when he's playing with like his musicians, it's very intense, and they're building up these kind of intense kind of climaxes in the solos, and the lines and everything is the way they do that. I can't really put words on what I mean, but it's not a set of chords and then a melody that fits the chords. It's just like this kind of energy and flow that they're trying to create, I guess. So I guess it's the best way to understand it is to listen to the recording. Let's slow things down with a ballad. It's got some interesting chords here. it starts with this chord, which is, I guess it's the first inversion of an E minor major 7 in drop 3. If you know your drop 3 of minor major 7. But you could also think of it as a G major 7 sharp 5, but with the 13. So it's a very hip sound, right? You could even throw in the so you have a major 7 sharp 5, but with the 6th included. It's kind of chord that players like Lagerlund will play. And then he goes up. I didn't do it. I wasn't able to do it, but he. That's the going up the E melodic minor scale on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string. This chord. So this is also a chord I've heard Lagerlund play. I talked about this in my discussion with Noel Johnston. Like some of these chords, what do you call it? The way I think about this chord is it's a D major 7, but with an F sharp. So like major 7 sus, but here over a different bass note. But if I know that, then that means I can take all my D major 7 chords and raise the 4th or the 3rd to 4th. This is actually a kind of a 4th chordal voicing, if you want to be specific. So D major 7, but with a 4th instead of a 3rd over E, gives you some kind of E minor 6 chord, or maybe minor 13. That is a good old sus chord. C over F sharp, G over C sharp. These chords make not a lot of sense. Diminished major 7. This, I also talked about this in my video about open strings. If I have a B flat 13 or minor 11 even, if I play the open G string there, get a really nice sound. This next chord is totally bizarre. It's a E major 7 sharp 5 over A flat. Come from the augmented. It's just like beautiful sounds, like colors, like Wayne Shorter would write. So I did the snake there again. So the snake is changing the finger but keeping the note ringing. So let's say I'm playing this phrase A, C sharp, A, but I want to play this chord now. G diminished with the... I need to grab that finger with that note with the pinky, but I'm using the index finger, so I'm just replacing. And then all of a sudden I have the more fingers in front of me so I can play that chord. And I think Kurt is like releasing little like teasers of his lessons on. I think that's what's going on. They're doing it on Hardcore, on the YouTube channel Hardcore. So Hardcore is the record label, and the company that publishes this book, and they do a lot of stuff, even like charity work, I think. And there they released like short videos, lessons of Kurt's, which are pretty fun to watch. And there he showed, in one of them, he shows this idea of playing the snake, what he calls a snake. And it completely blew my mind. I've never seen anything like that. So
here's what I call the snake. The snake. Isn't that cool?
So I've been starting using it lately, and I was playing with the students this tune. Glasper tune, right? And then at some point it goes, and I wanted to play D minor 9, which is the fourth finger, so I just did this, and without realizing it, or I did realize it in the very moment, like, oh, I just did the snake. So that goes to show that even if you're older like me, you can still learn new stuff, but you have to kind of keep investigating stuff. That's why I'm... So Kurt Rosenwinkel is obviously a little bit more advanced of a guitar player than I am, so his music is a little bit of a mystery, as I said. So I can't play this tune, and the previous one, Synthetics, I can't play those tunes. If I practice them a lot, I can play them, but that's not really the point. The point is that I'm trying to play something that I do not know how to play. That's how you get better. Like, how else are you going to get better? That's what an athlete will do. At some point, you will have to try to do that exercise or lift those weights that you cannot lift. Well, you try, and then, like, that's the goal. One day I will be able to lift that. But if you never try, how are you going to get there? So that's what classical musicians do as well. They have pieces that are above. You shouldn't only do that, but it's good to do that sometimes. So that's what I do here. I try to play tunes that are a little bit beyond my abilities. Also, a thing here that, before I forget, is that he's playing these chords at the end. I've seen those chords when I studied Alan Holdsworth's. So it's just a C triad with an add 9. But it's very difficult to grab because I'm not used to it. Gorgeous. Then a sharp 9. I've marked down a lot of tunes here, but I think we'll just maybe do one more. Yeah, let's do this one. Filters. This is a serious one. So it's like a lot of pages. I'm not gonna play everything. I'm just gonna play a little bit of it, but this is pretty tricky stuff. Again, it's 250. This one as well, but I'm gonna play. Let's do 180. Yeah, I guess if I practiced it enough, if I had a gig and we were supposed to play this, I think I played this tune on some student recital, but I can't imagine how. It must have been a simplified version. And again, it's supposed to be a lot faster. This is actually his kind of a celebration of West Montgomery, which actually makes sense. But, I mean, a lot of stuff, it's not supposed to be that difficult. Like... But I find it very difficult, and I think it's because it's so unusual. This is not at all how I normally play. Power chords in jazz, and that's like... It's just pentatonic. And everything just goes up chromatically. But that's so far removed from how I normally do things that, yeah, that's why it's difficult. And that's why it's good to, you know, step outside of your comfort zone and do something differently. So I noticed that I tense up and stuff like that. And so you need to stay relaxed. So one thing that I noticed about his playing when I first discovered Kurt Rosenwinkel was that I loved his rhythmic kind of the chord stabs that he throws in between his phrases. And that was also a little bit of a mystery. Like, what is he actually doing? And surprisingly, a lot of times it's like just power chords, which is power chord is supposed to be a no-no in jazz. So it's like he's trying to kind of imitate a piano player there. He's even talking about that in the comment to this tune. Again, I was doing the snake. Now I need this chord. So I just... So this is a B major 7, right? Drop 2 on the bottom set of strings. But you could also think of it as a B triad in second inversion with a major 7 there. And then you move up that triad to a D flat triad and put the same melody note. You get a D flat 6 or a B flat minor in a drop 2. But the idea of using the bottom strings gives it that kind of Radiohead. I'm just moving the triads with the 5th on the bottom and then keeping the... That's another trademark of Kurt, right? He's singing along with his playing, but he's not scat singing. He's singing like a synth. And I've seen him play 2 times, and I'm gonna go and see him in Gothenburg here. I got tickets to he's coming to a jazz club here in a couple of months. And when I've seen him, he hasn't done the mic'd thing where he mics his voice. I think he does that sometimes live, but I'm not sure how that works. I did the snake here too, I think. Here's also just a C triad, D triad. And then index finger, and I need to grab the C minor 9, so there too I did the So at the end here, A flat minor 7 with no 5th to C major 7 with no 5th. Top note stays same. So those 2 chords have nothing to do, there's nothing in common really. A flat minor and C major, they're actually very far away from each other harmonically. Related 2 to the sub 5, but they are, what combines them is the melody note, so he would maybe sing that note. So the voice leading makes it work, right? Like it's, you could play any chord to any other chord if you're using good voice leading, but he doesn't always sing the top note. It could be which is another thing that I've talked about. This more advanced players like Gilad Hexelman and Lagerlund, they don't just play chord voice things. They think of each voice is important, where it's going, and so on. So the effect, I don't know if you hear it. I use it just a little bit now. It's the Pog 2, and there's also surprisingly difficult to find information about how he is getting his sound. You would imagine that there would be like hundreds of videos on YouTube, but no, there is only a few. And I just Googled how the settings of Kurt Rosenwinkel Pog 2, and then I did that. He also does something with a compressor. I don't know if he puts the compressor after the Pog or whatever to kind of get that the shaved attack that is a trademark. A lot of people hate that sound. And it was even a video where somebody's saying the pedal that ruined jazz guitar. I think that's clickbait and stupid, to be honest, because it's just a sound. You know, it's just, if you don't like the sound, don't use it. But I find that when you have a synth kind of like sound like that, you play differently, right? Like it gives you play more like a horn player because you get this sustain. So I like it. I wanted to talk about more tunes, but this video is gonna be too long. I wanted maybe to play this tune Gesture Lester, but maybe I'll make a bonus video about some more of this stuff. Obviously I'm not gonna put any charts on the screen or anything like that because this is copyright material, right? And this is a book that they make money for us to the record label, so buy this book and support the arts. This is quality. It was kind of expensive, or it is an expensive book, but it's a proper... You can also buy this as a PDF, right? But that was also... I can't remember how much that was, but I'm very happy. This is a book you can have for the rest of your life. And if nothing else, it's just a nice book with nice pictures and just listening to his music and reading. It's like reading scores when you're listening to classical music, right? So there's nice pictures and everything. It's just quality stuff. So I'm happy with it. And there's also a new book with tabs. I think people requested some kind of tab book with his solos. His solos are not in here. These are just the lead sheets or the charts. So hopefully you learned something about Kurt Rosenwinkel and his music, and maybe you're inspired to check out his music and get this book. So as always, thank you for your time and attention. I shall see you next time.